Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Donna King and I'm here with award-winning coach Flame Schoeder. Hi, Flame.
Hi, Donna.
We're certified professional coaches with over 25 years combined coaching and leadership experience. We know firsthand how coaching inspires confidence and effectiveness. We've taught hundreds of people how to break through their own limits to be more confident, engaged, and effective managers of people. We're going to guide you through a series of questions to help you reflect and gain some new perspectives. So get out some paper and pen and write down answers to these powerful questions. Flame, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Donna. We know that as managers, it is so easy to get to a place where you're feeling stressed. You might be feeling frustration. Maybe things aren't going the way you need them to go or want them to go. And then, over time, often that leads to self-doubt. And of course, there could be hundreds of other experiences as well. But in one perspective, we hate those feelings and we want them to go away. But from a coaching perspective, those feelings are actually there on purpose and they become a jumping off point for us to explore what actually needs to happen next. And they're actually a really good sign because they're a sign of your commitment and your engagement as a manager and your desire to have things happen in a successful way. So let's not ignore them. Let's actually look at them. For the sake of this video, I want you to focus on just one situation. Maybe there's one relationship that's really frustrating for you, or there's one project where you perpetually get a bottleneck, something, but pick just one. Don't try to solve everything in this one pass of the video. Obviously, you can watch the video many, many times if there are multiple things you want to look at. The first question in our guided coaching experience is, if you could have a breakthrough about anything as a manager, what would it be? And I do mean anything. Take a few minutes, write down your thoughts. Obviously, if you at any point during this video you need more time, you can just press pause and come back to us when you've finished what you need to do. But for this question, be as specific as you can. What's causing you the most stress and tension? What's bothering you the most? Once you think you've got it, you might even rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the most bothered you've ever been and 1 being I'm not bothered at all. Where are you? We're hoping you're going to pick something that's on like the 7, 8, 9 scale here. And remember, no one has to look at what you write. It's just for you. We're not going to ask you to tell us, and you can burn it when you're done. The key is that you're truthful with yourself and you write down whatever is coming up. Good? All right, let's move to question 2. What are you experiencing as you think about this situation? What sensations are you feeling in your body? Is it a pit in your stomach? Is it tension in your shoulders? Is it a racing mind? Write any of that down. What's the quality of your thinking? Or maybe your overall energy? Are you experiencing any particular emotions? It is so powerful when we name our emotions. So we've actually prepared a little list. We encourage you to pick out 5 of these, up to 5, that describe what it is you're experiencing as you think about this one situation that's bothering you the most. And write that down. Question 3. If this experience was a messenger, what would it tell you? Is there something that your body or your energy or this experience is actually trying to alert you to? Something it's trying to get your attention about? And if you were to listen to that experience, what would it say? So for example, we had a manager in our last class who was working in a situation where she had a close coworker who had, frankly, a pretty negative attitude about work, and it was starting to impact her. So her experience was dread, frustration, inefficiency. She was starting to write that coworker off. And as she looked at it, the message was for her to start setting clearer expectations. And also to acknowledge that the other person wants something good to happen, but she's also feeling frustrated. Her frustration is just being worn on her sleeve. And in acknowledging that, the two of them could actually build a relationship and start to work together. So the message was about setting clear expectations and building relationships rather than staying checked out. Your situation may be totally different, all is well, but whatever comes up for you as the nugget of wisdom underneath the experience, capture that. Write that down. And now that you're starting to see the situation a little more clearly, I have to ask, would it be okay if this situation was easier, better, safer? Just answer for yourself, yes or no, and then we'll move on.
Okay. So now let's take a look at this through the lens of your own personal values. As Flame mentioned, the reason that you feel this frustration and stress or uncertainty is because you care about the outcomes. You're committed, you're engaged, and you're connected to really what you value most. Our values drive our behaviors, whether good or bad. And we long for our values to be demonstrated. And they often clear the path away from stumbling blocks into a space of victory. So, in this question, how do your values connect with your message from question number 3? What we'd like you to do is take a moment to write down 2 or 3 values that you hold at your core. And I have a list here to prompt some thought. What are 2 or 3 values that really stand out for you? Take a look at this list and jot down 2 or 3 that rise to the top. Okay. Got that? Question number 5. How do these values connect with that voice of wisdom? How do they give you power? How do they drive your action? How do they inform what is yours to do? And when you look at this, what's your biggest lesson here? Now, if you're feeling a little confused or unsure right now, just remember all is well. This confusion is actually a bridge between the old and the new. So just stay with it. Now, question number 6. Given your lesson and your values, what's the advice you will give yourself moving forward? Take a look and think about your learnings. What advice will you give yourself to guide your behaviors? What we'd like you to do is create 1, 2, 3, or 4 phrases or words of wisdom that you will apply moving forward. Now, in the case of our the manager that was in our class that Flame referred to, when she did this exercise and really honed in on what her values were, things became very clear that her core value really revolved around being inclusive. And also there was a sense of efficiency, getting things done at a pace that produced success was important for her, and being direct. So the advice or guidelines that she gave herself for more successful outcomes were focus on the positive, make generous assumptions, and be clear about expectations. Now it's your turn. Write down your words of wisdom, advice you will give yourself, and then think about what will be different if you consistently followed these words of wisdom, this advice. What would be different?
Now we want to pause for a second and see what's shifted for you. Is there some thinking that has changed here now that you've been sifting through this situation? Does your energy feel differently now than it did when you first sat down and started thinking about this frustrating situation? Because that is your breakthrough. And this is at the heart of coaching. When we can have that new perspective that seemingly comes out of nowhere, but ends up being a critical piece of information about how to proceed, that is coaching. And it's going to inform how we act, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But for now, it's really important to bring these things up into consciousness. Did you discover something new about the situation, or what you perceived was the situation?
So given your lessons and your breakthrough, let's brainstorm what is yours to do. Consider your values and your priorities and the things that are most important to you. Write down the things that you have influence over. Now remember, there's no commitment yet. Just write down and be creative. There are no right or wrong answers. Jot down some ideas to get you on track and moving forward with this situation. Think about what needs to be changed or addressed. What's your responsibility in this? Or what's not your responsibility? What are you willing to do? What might you let go of? Is there something at risk if you don't do it? What do you see about this? As you look through the things you wrote down, what's the truth here? By now you might be saying, just tell me what to do and how to do it. Well, that's normal. Let that go and find a place where your head, your heart, and your gut are in alignment. That's when clarity comes. Okay, now this is coaching. So coaching is all about designing specific action based on your insights. So what specific actions will you commit to putting into practice? And what are you willing to do to strengthen your integrity as a manager? So reflect on your brainstorm list. What actions will you take? Consider, are they aligned with your values? How committed are you to do this? On a scale from 1 to 10, is it a 3 or is it a 9? If it's time bound, what needs to be done right away? or in order for you to step into that? It's new practice. How often will you have to do it? What obstacles might get in the way? And is there someone you can reach out to get support? Okay. Most importantly, what's the first step you're going to take? Okay. Now, if you had a breakthrough throughout this whole process, what you're going to notice is some new possibilities will emerge over the next day or week or even month. That's great. Let it in. That's a breakthrough.
And one of the important things about coaching is to take our breakthroughs, like I said, and bring them into consciousness. Otherwise, it's just a good idea that never gets put into practice. So we want to hold the space here for you to really get your head around what you just saw. Did you have an aha moment? If you did, how can you stay connected to that breakthrough? Maybe it's a mantra, a set of words that you'll say to yourself throughout the day. Or maybe it's a visual image or a certain experience in your physical body that you want to breathe into 2 or 3 times throughout the day. Depending on your learning style, it might be different, but you want to design a way to stay connected with whatever that aha moment was. And if you were to stay connected to it, how is that going to change your day, your week, your year? Because the more you can connect with those positive outcomes in the long term, the more likely you are to stay with it. And maybe the aha moment, the breakthrough that you had, impacts not just your work as a manager, maybe it impacts other parts of your life. What other things might you do based on your discovery? Maybe the same things apply to your relationship with your teenage children or some other area of your life that seems unrelated but actually has similar factors. And how do you feel now? What's different in your physical or mental energy than when you sat down and started thinking about this frustrating thing? You notice how your energy is different because you got coached. We often say in coaching that coaching is not therapy, but it has a therapeutic quality about it. And that's what we mean. Your energy starts to get focused and collected so that you can really be in integrity more and more of the time. Because the thing about coaching is that it's not a natural state of the mind. The brain is designed to keep you safe and alive, and that's more of a instinctual survival mechanism and less of a creative, collaborative, prefrontal cortex kind of experience. So you have to learn to be coached and to coach. You have to develop that skill like a muscle over the course of days, weeks, and years. And we can give you the foundation to do that. We want to teach you the powerful tools to be a breakthrough manager. Can you imagine what it would be like to produce shifts like this in yourself and in your teams often? Maybe every time something really hard came up on your team? Wouldn't that be amazing? If you feel ready to make that happen, if you feel inspired and energized right now, that tells us that you have a coach inside of you. And we would like to help that coach come to maturity and to give you a lot of confidence about how to work with the energies that are happening. Because notice today how the solution you came up with, Donna and I didn't give you any advice. We weren't giving you any input. We were simply asking powerful questions and seeing the best in you. And the voice of wisdom inside of you produced the answer. That's what makes it genuine. When you put your values into your management style, that's when you start demonstrating what we call your genuine management genius. It impacts your management style, your leadership presence, and it starts to shape how people follow you. And it makes a real contribution to your teams, to your families, and ultimately to your communities. And it's your unique contribution. We need you. We need you to show up in the way that is exactly yours. And we believe that every manager has that capacity, has that unique genius. And that's why we created Be a Breakthrough Manager, to help those things come to life in the world. So come and spend a half day with us in the actual training. We will give you tools and skills and real-time practice so that you can be the breakthrough manager that we know you long to be. Obviously, you can listen to this recording at any time. We invite you to come back to it over and over, especially if there's frustration, self-doubt, if your confidence is failing, or if you just know you need time to sit and look for an answer. This is the place. You have the genius. It's already there. The question is how to get the clarity and put it into practice. And if you like this so much that you want to help other people, then we genuinely encourage you to click on the link and enroll with us to become a breakthrough manager.